Hey, yo, folks! It is time for part 2 in the so-called Amber Alert trial. New Hampshire versus Dustin Duren. Yeah, we will pick up after lunch from today with more testimony. And for you who this morning we heard from the state and the defense opening statement. I believe, in my opinion, the state's opening statement was very fact-based, very consistent, very coherent. Then the defense opening statement was emotional, based on emotions, and hypothetical based on what Dustin claims happened in that house that day. We heard from the responding officer, and then we heard from Dustin's dad, and that was rough. When the state calls the defendant's father, his father did good. He answered the questions as they were asked and really didn't do any additional information. They had to fight for every piece of information, showing us, yeah, his father really was a retired police officer or police deputy who is in a very, very unfortunate situation. Hello, Mr. Jingles. Hello. So now we will get back in here with what happened after lunch. Let's see here. Let's get this on the road. Let's get your comments there. And and the overlap. All right, folks. Are you ready? We are at sidebar counter number 7, by the way, which is a lot for half a day. And yeah, let's go. Let's go. Good to have you back, by the way. Good to have you back here. Hello, folks over at Rumble. Hello, folks over at Twitch. And hello, you guys at YouTube. Sadly, I don't have the closed captions. Let's get the sound up with a sound enhancer. Oh, Gwendolyn, we all pray your brother is doing fine. We all pray your brother is doing fine. I hope he gets out of surgery and is tip-top. All right. Who is this?
Trooper Johnson, if you could remain standing and raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear today that the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalties of perjury? Yes, I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Can you please state and spell your full name for the record?
I'm Detective Amanda Johnson. Last name is spelled John.
And where or how are you currently employed?
I'm employed as a detective with the New Hampshire State Police.
And with the New Hampshire State Police, are you assigned to any particular troop barracks or a section?
Yes, I'm in the major crime unit.
And what is the major crime unit?
Our primary job is to investigate homicides. We handle all officer-involved shootings throughout the state, as well as conflict cases that may arise that other agencies can't investigate.
So if there's a problem with the agency investigating, say, one of their own, you would maybe take that case.
Yes,
Okay. So in this instance, as a person in the major crime unit, what is your role specifically inside of investigations?
I primarily do crime scene investigation.
What does that mean?
I respond to the crime scenes and process them for evidence.
And do you have any kind of specialized training that allows you to do this type of job?
I attended the National Forensics Academy back in 2023, 10-week program investigating or helping to investigate forensics and things of that nature.
And how long have you been working with the New Hampshire State Police?
I just started my 18th year this past August.
And for how long have you been specifically working on crime scene investigation?
I've been in the major crime unit since 2019.
Now, I want to draw your attention to February the 29th of 2024. Did there come a time that you became involved in an investigation into a homicide by shooting that had occurred at 1063 or 1063 Main Street in Berlin, New Hampshire?
Yes, I did. I believe that was an early morning call out.
Do you recall what time of day you received the call?
I think it was around 1 o'clock in the morning.
When you say you received the call, were you working at the time?
No, I was off duty sleeping.
Can you describe for us how that call occurred?
I was called by Lieutenant John Sonia and advised that they had a homicide in the town of Berlin. He requested that I respond to the scene with the crime truck.
And when you say, were you assigned to a specific role for that crime scene?
That particular call, I was the officer in charge as well as the evidence technician, and I believe I took video that day.
Okay, and when you say you were the officer in charge, that sounds fancy. What does that mean?
It's just more paperwork. Basically, I delve out. We all kind of split the tasks, the required tasks. And at the end, it's just I'm compiling all of the reports basically into one report.
And you said that you were asked to respond out with the crime scene truck.
Yes.
Can you explain to us what that is?
We have 2 crime scene trucks. They're basically mobile offices that hold our supplies and equipment.
This is remarkable to me. They have 2 crime scene vans ready to be deployed. This is nowhere, New Hampshire. Nowhere, New Hampshire. Remember the Karen Reed trial, where they scooped up evidence with red Solo cups and used a leaf blower? And these guys here have 2 functioning crime scene vans ready to be deployed. This tells you the difference between a state that seems to be taking things more seriously than other, because in Massachusetts, about an hour from Boston or 45 minutes from Boston, there are entire divisions of cops who firmly sits with their thumbs up their asses and hope somebody else do something while they collect a base salary of $80,000 a month. That, folks, when you look at trials and hear information like this in the think about the other trials we have been in and the absolute fustercluck with law enforcement. Now, this is one case. I don't know if the trial will take off in a completely different direction with cops sending texts to each other, wishing the end of defendants and stuff like that. I don't think so. These people seem, but by my instinct, these people seem to be more serious about their job. Let's continue.
And when you received that call to respond out to Berlin, what information was provided to you about what you were walking into?
I knew that the suspect was at large, and they were primarily focusing on locating him as well as children.
Was that part of your responsibility with respect to this case?
No, I brought the truck to the scene where I stayed for a while they finished investigative aspects of the case, and finally did receive a court-authorized search warrant.
So you spent some time waiting while other steps were taken before you were able to get into the house?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about your crime scene work. When you talk about working on a crime scene, can you describe for us sort of the methods or the steps that you use when you're documenting crime scenes?
Yes, like I said, we have various tasks that we have to complete there. We use a 3D scanner called a Faro that Faros the scene in 3D. One of us takes a GoPro video and walks around the crime scene with the video. One person's assigned to photographs. Another person's assigned to cataloging and documenting evidence that we collect. And it's, when we finally get in there, it's slow going because we essentially process the scene in layers. We take what's visible without disturbing anything, and then we start, peeling back the layers and documenting it as we go.
So when you initially arrive at a scene, you take it as it is, correct?
Yes,
You take photographs and videos of that?
correct.
Okay. And then you said you started removing a layer.
Yes.
And when you remove each layer, what, if anything, do you do in terms of documentation?
So we photograph along as we search, when we move things and when we, search through things. Like, for instance, if you opened a drawer, we would take a photo and search the contents of the drawer and then take another photo. So just things are done in layers.
So when you take photographs, are you just taking a photograph sort of the overall space, or are there different layers even of the photographs that you take?
Yeah, so overalls, far away and then mid-range and then close up is typically how we do the photographs.
Are photographs taken in terms of when you arrive at a scene that has a person or a victim inside of it? Do you take photographs with the victim there as well as with them removed from the scene?
Yes, we take photographs as we come to the scene, and how we find the scene and the body.
You indicated that some troopers or officers are tasked with locating evidence. Are photographs taken of that evidence as well?
Yes, we work as a team. We decide what we're going to collect, and as we go, we photograph and document what we're collecting.
Why so many photographs?
You can never take too many photographs. I've only experienced situations where you wish you would have taken more, so I tell everyone to, take as many as you think you should, and then go further and take more.
Do you document every scene that you respond to in the same manner?
Yes.
Was the crime scene at 1063 Main Street documented in this way by video, photograph, and Faro?
Yes.
Were photographs taken with Ms. Naffziger's body present?
Yes.
And were photographs taken when her body was removed?
Yes.
Now, I want to show you and place up on the screen State's Exhibit 3A, which is in evidence. Let me help if I turn on this light. And I may need to ask you to step down if you're unable to see it, and I do apologize because you may spend quite some time getting out of your retina screen. If that's all right with the board.
Yes, so long as the jury can hear and so long as we have appropriate audio and so long as it doesn't obstruct defendants at all, certainly.
This morning, we couldn't hear anything from the calls or videos. I wonder if that changes here.
Please.
So we can see what's on that screen. which is unfortunate.
Now, Trooper Johnson, is this the location, State's Exhibit 3A, which is on the screen of 1603 Main Street?
Yes,
I'm sorry, 1063 Main Street.
yes,
And is this the location where you responded with the crime scene truck?
yes.
Can you describe what this building is for us?
This building is a apartment building. I was advised by the Berlin Police Department that there were 4 units total in that building.
By the time that you arrived on scene, had that dwelling already been cleared by the Berlin Police Department?
Yes, it had.
I'm not sure why the screen is flashing. It may have something to do with some interference we're receiving, but hopefully it'll stay on. So you indicated that it was a multi-unit dwelling, correct?
Yes.
With respect to the investigation that you were working, the call that you were there for, what areas of this building were of interest to you?
We were authorized to search Mr. Duren's apartment, which was the lower level apartment, the first floor.
I'm gonna stop for a second, just because it doesn't seem to be cutting out on any of the monitors, just that monitor, so. Maybe it's just a loose connection, I just didn't know if there's anything we can do.
You were getting some feedback on this, Your Honor, so I'm not certain if something's going wrong. Take my life in my hands and think with it.
That seems to have worked, thank you.
Fingers crossed. All right, so you started to say, and I apologize, you started to say that you were authorized to search certain locations in this building. What were those locations?
Mr. Duren's apartment, which was the lower first level of the building.
Did you also conduct any searches in the garage bay?
Yes, we did.
Speaking about that garage bay, can you see that on the screen?
Most of it, yes.
Okay. Was there a garage bay that you learned was assigned to that first floor apartment?
Yes.
Was there a car located in that garage bay?
No.
Were there any cars inside of any of the garage bays when you were on scene?
Yes, there were other tenants that had vehicles there.
Were those cars checked?
I recall that one tenant needed to get to her vehicle, so we escorted her to get the car and we just performed a quick search by consent just to make sure we weren't missing anything.
In terms of the garage space, were any items of evidentiary value recovered from that location?
Not that I recall, no.
Now, did you take video of the exterior of this building?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you explain for us how you did that?
Utilizing a GoPro camera, I walked around outside and then walked inside slowly, just getting all the rooms in that apartment.
When you do that, you're just holding the GoPro camera in your hand,
Yes.
okay? And are you talking, narrating? What can we expect that we would hear?
No, no talking.
Now, prior to this hearing, did you review, I should have actually stayed over with you. Did you review some exhibits prior to the meeting's testimony?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you take a look at State's Exhibit 7A?
Yes, I did.
Is that a video clip that you took of the exterior of the building?
Yes.
Did you also review State's Exhibit 7B?
Yes.
Is that a clip of a video that you took from the interior of the building?
Yes.
Here at this time, the state would ask to have the ID struck. No objection.
The ID, excuse me, the ID may be stricken with respect to exhibits 7A and 7B, and they may be considered as full exhibits.
Now, I'm gonna move off of State's Exhibit 3A. On the screen now should be State's Exhibit 7A. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish State 7A.
Yes.
It seems like we will not get the sound from these videos today. Hopefully, the media pool will ask the judge
Where this clip
be
ends, what are we
connected
looking at?
to that screen.
That is the door, the entryway to a common area for the apartments. The white door,
And it goes into all of the apartments in this building, is that correct?
yes,
Is there another entrance that just goes to apartment on the first floor?
yes,
Where is that located?
around the front of the house by the street.
Next, showing you State's Exhibit 3C, which is in evidence, just so that we can transition over. Is this the same photograph or a photograph that shows the back of that house?
Yes,
Okay. And that white door at the back, is that the one you've indicated goes to a common area?
yes.
Now, for the ease of this, Trooper Johnson, I could ask you to step over towards the news really quickly. I would ask if you take a look through State's Exhibits 8A through 8T. I just need to separate them out. You have you flip through these photographs for me? You can flip them in my direction, is there not? I think we have an agreement that they're coming to evidence, right? As you're doing this, Trooper Johnson, do you recognize what you're looking at?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they are?
Photographs of the apartment as well as the evidence that we collected.
They made an awesome thumbnail, he says. All right. um,
Do those photographs, as you look at them, fairly and accurately show the apartment as you observed it when you responded there?
Yes, it does.
If I can ask.
thank you for your contribution, but I don't think I'm going to use this one as a thumbnail. But thank you, Dave, for trying. Oh,
To step back over. If you need a break or any water, just let me know. We can stand up quite a bit. Now, with respect to, and Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask to strike the ID as to State's Exhibits 8A through 8T and admit them into evidence. No, okay.
The ID may be stricken with respect to 8A through 8T inclusive, and they may be considered full exhibits.
I'm just showing you State's Exhibit 8A. This is a close-up of the roof door and hence 1063 Main Street that we've just seen.
Yes,
And in this image, the door is ajar.
yes,
Okay, was it open like that when you responded?
yes.
Where does this door lead again?
To a small common area utilized by all the tenants to access their apartments.
Moving into State's Exhibit 8B, what are we looking at here?
That straight ahead door is where the scene was.
And the straight ahead door is the door to where?
Duren's apartment,
Okay, so the defendant's Duren's apartment?
yes.
You can go ahead and have a seat. I'm gonna give you a break for this a second. You had indicated when you first began testifying that you had not immediately just jumped right in, you had to wait for quite some time.
Correct.
And why were you waiting?
Like I said, we were waiting for the investigators to try to figure out where the suspect was and locate the children. And then that shifted gears to writing search warrant for the apartment.
Okay. Were you also waiting for somebody from the medical examiner's office?
Yes,
Did someone from the medical examiner's office arrive on scene?
yes.
What, if anything, occurred once that happened?
When the medical examiner arrived on scene, she, under her authority, we went to the apartment to examine the body that was located in the living room.
And did you enter into the apartment to do that?
Yes,
Were you present personally with the ADME or the assistant or associate deputy medical examiner
yes,
to examine the body?
yes.
Can you describe when you observed Miss Naffziger's body, how she was positioned?
She was sitting on the couch. Her right leg was up on the coffee table, and she had a blanket around her body.
Did you, as well as the assistant deputy medical examiner, observe any injuries to Miss Naffziger?
We saw wounds that were consistent with a gunshot wound to the head.
Did you observe any weapons near Miss Naffziger?
No,
Did she have any property near her besides the blanket that you just described?
she had a cell phone that was next to her on her right side on the couch.
At the time that you entered into the living room with the medical examiner's office, did you observe any evidence that was consistent with Miss Naffziger having been shot in addition to her wounds that you observed?
Yes, to my right of the couch, I noticed a fired cartridge casing on the floor next to the couch.
Can you tell us what a fired cartridge casing is, Ms. Zimmer?
When a bullet's fired, the casing is what ejects from the pistol.
With respect to the first floor apartment, can you give us sort of an idea of what that apartment itself consisted of in terms of rooms, the layout?
Yes, it looked like there was 3 bedrooms, but they were using another room as like a 4th bedroom. 2 rooms were empty, utilized for what appeared to be storage. One of the rooms looked like a little girl's room. And then off of the living room, there was a room that would look like it was utilized as the master bedroom.
United States Exhibit 22, the record that says.
Yes, this is the diagram of Mr. Duren's apartment.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the layout of the apartment as you observed it?
Yes,
And the locations of where items were inside of the living room?
yes,
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to strike the ID and admit states 22 as filled by agreement. Yep, no objection.
The ID may be stricken and exhibit 22 may be considered a full.
Putting up on the screen states exhibit number 22. I don't know if you can do it from there. I'm gonna do what I can to not have you just standing here for the entirety of your testimony. With respect to this exhibit as we look at it, can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where Ms. Naffziger was positioned? If you need to step down, please do.
she was, like I said, on the couch. And she had her right foot elevated on the coffee table.
When she's sitting on the couch, is she towards the desk on the couch or is she on the other side of the room in terms of where she is?
More consistent with where you have the casing marked on that side of the couch.
Okay, so I just put up the red to show where Miss Naffziger was located. Is that where she was fairly and accurately?
Yes,
Okay, and then if I click again, for the jury to see, there's a casing that's marked there. Is that all consistent with where you observed the body of Miss Naffziger on the sofa or the couch
yes,
and then where the casing was observed?
yes.
After the assistant medical examiner examined the body of Miss Naffziger, what, if anything, occurred?
I believe that we left the body there so that we could farrow with the body in place, just because if I come to a scene and the body has not moved by first responders and it's located in the original spot, I like to document and preserve that. So I believe we farrowed that room and then we removed the body.
Farrow, did you also take photographs?
Yes,
And then the body was removed.
yes,
And was the scene still secured at that point pending the search warrant?
yes. The Berlin Police Department provided scene security that day.
What does it mean to provide or scene security or secure a scene?
Usually we cord it off with crime scene tape, and we'll have at least one or two cruisers standing by and making sure that no one unauthorized enters through the crime scene.
In fact, prior to having a search warrant, does anyone enter into it except to deal with the body?
No, just with the medical examiner.
Later that afternoon, around 1:40 p.m., did you receive authorization through a search and seizure warrant to enter into the home to conduct your examination of the scene?
Yes,
And at that point, is that when you started the process that you described to us before about photographing in layers?
yes.
I think I'm gonna have to ask you to step down. Absolutely. Putting States Exhibit 8C, which is in evidence on the screen, can you describe for us where we are or where this photograph was taken inside of the apartment?
That's as you walk in that entryway door in the rear.
And when you look at this, it's sort of a hallway, is that fair to say?
Yes,
Do you know where the doors on either side of that hallway lead?
those are the spare bedrooms that, like I said, it appeared to be utilized as storage.
And straight ahead,
Straight ahead leads into the kitchen.
you continue to walk down that hallway and end up in the kitchen. What do you have on your right-hand side?
The right-hand side is the living room and master bedroom area.
And to the left?
That was the little girl's room.
I want to look first with you, if we can, at States Exhibit 8D. Which room is this?
This is the spare bedroom to the right when you're walking down that hallway immediately upon entering the apartment.
And is this one of the rooms that you indicated was pretty much used as storage?
Yes,
Okay. Now, zooming in a little bit closer into States Exhibit 8D. Was evidence recovered or items recovered of interest in this case in the closet?
yes.
Showing you States Exhibit 8F. What are we seeing in this image?
ALJ2 looks like a box of ammunition, and ALJ3 looks like a holster, a gun holster.
Can you explain for us, so you're reading the yellow markers, is that fair to say?
Yes.
What do those yellow markers signify?
It's just how we document evidence that we're taking. Whoever's the evidence technician that day, we utilize our initials. I'm Amanda Lee Johnson, so ALJ. And as we go, we assign each piece of evidence a number.
Do the numbers have any meaning about importance or anything like that?
No,
And what do the numbers stand for?
it's just the number of the next item. So from there, the next item would be 4.
I want to go ahead and take a look with you at the items that you're looking at on that top shelf and the items that were marked. Looking first at States Exhibits 8G and 8H together on this slide. What is ALJ2 that you have marked?
A box of ammunition.
Looking next at States Exhibit 8I, which is in evidence, and your marker is, I believe, ALJ3. What are we looking at?
That's a shoulder holster with a magazine pouch.
When you say a magazine pouch, can you explain that for us?
You would put the magazines from a pistol in the pouch.
Next, looking on one slide at States Exhibits 8J and 8K, what are we looking at in terms of ALJ 3A?
So that's one of the magazines that was in the pouch, and that was the contents in the magazine, the ammunition.
So it was a loaded magazine.
Yes,
With respect to States Exhibits 8L and 8M together on this slide, ALJ 3B, what are we looking at?
that was the other magazine in the pouch.
And so both 3A and 3B came from the holster that was recovered.
Correct.
And with respect to this, was this also a loaded magazine?
Yes, with those bullets in it.
Were you able to determine the type of ammunition that this was?
Yes, I believe they're all 9mm.
Now, once these items that we've just looked at are recovered and photographed on the scene, are they recovered?
Yes, we photograph them and we package them, secure them on the crime scene truck, and later transfer it to the forensic lab.
Can you explain to us how they're packaged, what that process looks like?
We primarily.
What just happened? Why did it jump back? I don't know why it jumped back. It
Can you
did
explain
that
for us,
by
so you're
itself.
reading The yellow markers, is that fair to say?
Yes,
What do those yellow markers signify?
it's just how we document evidence that we're taking, whoever's the
I
evidence
think that's
technician
roughly
that
where we
day,
were.
we utilize our initials. I'm Amanda Lee Johnson, so ALJ, and as we go, we assign each piece of evidence a number.
Did the numbers have any meaning about importance or anything like that?
No,
And what do the numbers stand for?
it's just the number of the next item, so from there, the next item would be 4.
I want to go ahead and take a look with you at the items that you're looking at on that top shelf and the items that were marked. Looking first at States Exhibits 8G and 8H together on this slide. What is ALJ 2 that you have marked?
A box of ammunition.
Looking next at States Exhibit 8I, which is in evidence, and your markers, I believe ALJ 3, what are we looking at?
That's a shoulder holster with a magazine pouch.
When you say a magazine pouch, can you explain that for us?
You would put the magazines from a pistol in the pouch.
Next, looking on one slide at States Exhibits 8J and 8K, what are we looking at in terms of ALJ 3A?
So that's one of the magazines that was in the pouch, and that was the contents in the magazine, the ammunition.
So it was a loaded magazine.
Yes,
With respect to States Exhibits 8L and 8M together on this slide, ALJ 3B, what are we looking at?
that was the other magazine in the pouch.
And so both 3A and 3B came from the holster that was recovered.
Correct.
And with respect to this, was this also a loaded magazine?
Yes, with those bullets in it.
Were you able to determine the type of ammunition that this was?
Yes, I believe they're all 9mm.
Now, once these items that we've just looked at are recovered and photographed on the scene, are they recovered?
Yes, we photograph them and we package them, secure them on the crime scene truck, and later transfer it to the forensic lab.
Can you explain to us how they're packaged, what that process looks like?
We primarily use paper bags, but we put the item in a bag and we secure the bag with evidence tape so that it can't be tampered with and it's secured.
And do you sign those bags?
Yes, we initial along the seams to secure that chain of custody essentially.
Now, in your search of the apartment, did you locate or recover a pistol or a handgun?
No,
Showing you next to exhibit 8N coming back into the hallway of the apartment, can you kind of orient us back to where we are?
yes, you're standing in the hallway and door to the left was the other room, spare room that was utilized for storage.
With respect to the bedroom, which is the storage room, the first open door to the left in this photograph, was anything of evidentiary value marked and collected from there?
I don't recall from that room, no.
How about in the bathroom, the second open door on the left of the photo, was there anything of evidentiary value marked or recovered?
Not that I recall.
Now I want to move further into the apartment, it states exhibit 8O. Can you orient us sort of here, and I know you've described sort of to the right and the left of the kitchen, can you just let us know where we're looking here?
Yes, so the opening to the right is towards the living room. And then the left side by the cabinet, there's a door here that belongs to the little girl, bedroom belonging to the little girl.
And the kitchen also continues off to the right, is that, or the left, I'm sorry, is that fair to say?
Yes,
Showing you states exhibit 8P. What are we looking at here?
that's just the other side of the kitchen.
Did you search the trash can that's over there?
Yes,
Why?
we conduct a complete search when we process the scene to include trash cans.
Was it when anything recovered from the trash can?
Yeah, I believe we recovered a receipt from the trash.
Showing you states exhibit 8Q. Is that the receipt that you're discussing or saying that you recovered?
Yes,
Moving on to states exhibit 8R. With respect to this item, is that the receipt from the trash can?
yes, it is.
I want to ask you if you can read for us the highlighted portions of that.
Yes, it's a receipt from Harley Jack's Burgers and Brews in Ossipee. And it has a date of February 28th, 2024 at 4:46 p.m. The server's name was Christine K. The check number was number 14, and it says that it was ordered February 28th, 2024 at 4:46.
At 4:46 p.m.
Correct.
Moving into states exhibit 8S like Sam. Can you describe where we're looking in this image?
You're standing in the kitchen looking into the living room.
So that doorway that's open there, that's the living room where Ms. Naffziger's body was found? Is that-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, earlier you had talked about the fact, and we had seen the video that you took of the outside of the house, right? And we watched that small clip. Did you take a similar video of the interior of this apartment?
Yes.
Can you describe for us what you did in taking that video in its entirety?
Like I said, you walk into the apartment and you walk through all the rooms at a slow pace, just trying to document what's in each room.
You open all the drawers, look inside of everything.
Sometimes, like I said, we do it in layers, so you don't want to disturb too much. Normally when we first get there, we want to document the scene as it is without manipulating it.
When you took the video of the interior of this house, had Ms. Naffziger's body already been removed?
No. Or it may have been. I know that we farrowed with the body in there. I may have taken the video after the body was removed. I'm not 100%.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, dear reader, normal people, gifting a membership. It went to Karen. Yes, I'm a Karen. Congratulations. You now have access to all my members-only content on YouTube, which is probably hundreds of hours about my farm, stuff I do on the side, and yeah, all of that things. And you also have your own emojis on YouTube's. Thank you so much, dear reader, normal people. Thank you, thank you. Let's continue.
Positive on that.
Okay, so I'm going to move forward so you can see exhibit 8T like Tom. at the time that this photo is Ms. Naffziger's body there?
She had been removed at that point.
Moving forward to State's Exhibit 7B, which is a clip from that video that is in evidence. Looking at this image here, was Ms. Naffziger's body present at the time of the video or removed?
She was removed at that time.
Okay, so we should not in this video expect that we will see.
Correct.
Mission published.
Yes.
Yeah, as I said, we do not see what's going on the screen. And hopefully the media pool can get that sorted tomorrow. But as of now, we can see the evidence they are showing the jury. Oh, I forgot. I can actually skip.
I know this clip stops there. Did you also walk into that master bedroom area?
Yes.
I know, looking at this where it's stopped, there appears to be a door that we're seeing. What door is that?
It was almost like there were French doors or double doors that opened into what was utilized as a master bedroom.
And then there's a marker on your screen, this white door that's here that I'm marking. What door is that?
That's the front door to the residence.
When you were on scene, what was the condition of that front door?
It was locked with a deadbolt.
Was the doorknob also locked?
I don't recall specifically. I just know that I remember that it was deadbolted and locked.
For Johnson, I'm gonna show you two images. This is 7C and 7D. This fairly accurately shows still images from the video you saw.
Yes.
However, at this time, the state moves to strike the IDS to State's Exhibit 7C and D and admit admissible. No objection.
The ID may be stricken and the exhibit 7C and exhibit 7D which shall be considered as full exhibits.
Putting up on the screen State's Exhibit 7C, can you orient us to what we see inside of the living room?
Yeah, so you're standing in the master bedroom and you're looking through the doors into the living room.
And is this the layout of the living room as it was observed on that date?
Like I said, the body had obviously been removed, so things might have been disturbed when we moved the body.
I know you've described the area and where the body was positioned, Ms. Naffziger's positioned. Can you give us a general idea of where we would expect to see her, were she in this image?
She was positioned, if you see this pink blanket on the couch, that was wrapped around her. She was seated here with her right leg up on the coffee table, as if she was relaxing on the couch.
The red blanket that's on the floor in State's Exhibit 7C by the coffee table, is that where it was originally located?
That may have been displaced during the removal when we removed the body.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to strike the ID from State's Exhibits 9A through 9J.
No objection. The ID may be stricken with respect to exhibits 9A through 9J inclusive, and they may be considered as full exhibits.
Can I have one more?
Sir,
Trooper Johnson, facing onto the screen, State's Exhibit, well, actually, let me ask you a few questions first. With respect to State's Exhibits, or the next photographs, are Miss Naffziger's body visible in the next couple of images that we're about to show?
Yes,
Can you describe for us, when we see her, and I'm happy to have you take a look if you want to describe it from State's Exhibits. So you don't have to do it another way. Yes, and I. Yes, you just address them.
yep.
Can you describe for us what we should expect to see?
Yes, you can see the victim on the couch with the pink blanket on her. That red blanket that is on the floor in 7C was in fact to her left with her left arm resting on it. And her right leg is elevated and resting on the coffee table.
Missing onto the screen State's Exhibit 9A. Does this image represent the positioning of Miss Naffziger as she was when her body was located?
Yes, that's the original location that we found her in.
You've already described that the blanket, that the pink blanket is over her shoulder. She has another blanket next to her, her foot on the coffee table.
Yes, and a purple pillow behind it.
From what you observe, is Miss Naffziger wearing any shoes on?
No,
Were any shoes for an adult located near her in the living room?
I believe they were just children's slippers and children's shoes.
Yeah, this kind of speaks against this all interaction that Dustin claim or his defense are claiming. Comfortably leaning back with her feet up on the coffee table. That's not a running position. That's not a fighting position. Yeah, his claim, unless the defense all of a sudden can say that somebody positioned her that way, which I find highly unlikely somebody did, his self-defense claim is slowly falling apart. Or defense of others. And no shoes on. Yeah.
You had described a cell phone wallet case. Can you point that out to us?
Yes.
Behind that cell phone wallet case, what's that on the couch?
A pair of eyeglasses.
Now, behind Miss Naffziger, almost at, I would say, the center of the photograph, there appears to be a white mark on the shelf of that built-in bookshelf. Can you describe for us what that white mark is?
Let me just make sure I'm pointing at the right thing. This mark right here. That's a built-in wooden shelf, and we located what appeared to be consistent with a defect from.
And when you say a defect, what do you mean?
That's just the terminology that we use for lack of better terms, entryway of a bullet.
And moving closer, and State's Exhibit 9B, we also have the imagery of Miss Naffziger on the scene. From this angle, can you still see where that bullet defect is?
Yes, it's, right here.
And just one more, State's Exhibit 9C, moving in closer to Miss Naffziger. Can you please describe for us what we see here?
What is consistent with a gunshot wound to the head.
Miss Naffziger's clothing, first of all, that pink blanket is no longer over her shoulder. Was that moved by officers during the scene?
Yes, we moved on to like the next layer of documenting, and we would move the blanket off of her to photograph.
And once the blanket was removed, what is Miss Naffziger wearing for clothing?
She looks like she has a black sweater on, a purple shirt, and it looks like a scarf around her neck.
Please exhibit 9D, what are we looking at here?
That's a photo of the couch after we removed the body of the victim.
Hey, young Gary, good to have you here.
Now,
Haven't seen
with
you in a while.
respect to the glasses that were on the sofa, on the couch, what happened to those? Okay, no.
I believe that we collected those as evidence.
Would they have been transported with the body?
I can't recall specifically if we made them a separate exhibit or put the glasses in the bag with the body. I can't recall specifically, but I know we collected them.
Moving to State's Exhibit 9B, we've got a yellow marker here. Can you explain for us what we're looking at?
That's the evidence marker to mark the cell phone that's on the couch.
And just, you've done close-ups and overalls of all of these pieces of evidence. Is that fair to say?
I didn't personally take the photos, I don't believe I did, but yes, we documented close-ups.
So moving into State's Exhibits 9F and 9G, what are we looking at?
It's a cell phone that's contained within a wallet case.
Were the contents of that wallet case used to identify Ms. Naffziger on scene?
Yes,
And what was used specifically?
driver's license.
I want to back up so that we can take a look at the couch as a whole. Looking at State's Exhibit 9H on. Is this just a full view of the couch or the sofa as it was inside of the living room?
Yes,
Now, when we watched that video walkthrough that you did, State's Exhibit 7B, you sort of got very close to the sofa. Is there a reason why you did that?
just documenting close-up shots of the evidence.
Was there anything on the sofa itself that you were documenting specifically?
I recall doing close-ups on the left side of the couch, around here, that I located a couple of pieces, what appeared to be consistent with the skull.
So moving to State's Exhibit 7D, there are two items circled there. Can you explain for us what we're seeing?
That's what I noticed, and it consistent with skull.
So consistent with bone pieces.
Yes.
Looking at State's Exhibit 9, we're back on I. Does this image accurately show the placement of the coffee table as it was in line with the sofa?
Yes.
And this is obviously after Ms. Naffziger's been removed.
Yes.
And that red blanket is positioned there from its original position, correct?
Yeah, it's displaced from its original position.
Now, you had discussed that when you looked at this living room, when you entered into it initially, and then when you were conducting your search for evidence, that you had observed casing inside of this location.
Yes.
Can you orient us to where we would be looking if we wanted to find where that casing was?
Yes, the casing was behind this chair on the floor, so that's the right side of the couch.
Now, I want to take a look at the rest of the living room. So this photograph States Exhibit 9J. Does that accurately show the living room as it would be viewed from the sofa or the couch?
Yes, it does.
In terms of this desk, what kinds of items were associated with the desk?
It appeared to be a computer desk, but we noted that the tower, the actual computer itself, was missing and unplugged.
At this time, the state would move to strike the ID from State's Exhibits 10A through 10B and have them admitted as evidence.
The ID may be stricken with respect to 10A through 10D inclusive, and they shall be considered explosive.
This for I like this judge.
Mr. Johnson, I want to go back to that little.
I like this judge because he makes rulings in both directions, somewhat equally. And I Since we don't know what's been going on the sidebars, it's hard to tell. But as it seems, good judge. It seems like the prosecution has a good case. It seems like Dustin Duren's entire defense is an afterthought, in my opinion. And it is falling apart due to the evidence. If everything actually happened the way Dustin says, then why is her feet on the coffee table? If she was furiously grabbing onto the child. I mean, that does not make sense so far. We don't know. The defense might have some jack-in-the-box surprise for us in their case in chief, but as of now, a few witnesses in, this is a solid case by a solid prosecution. Yeah. In speculatively, I think he would have been better off with, well, I don't think an insanity defense, but the PTSD, but I don't think that holds up in court. I mean, yeah, it will be interesting to see. Do we finally have I mean, we have one clean trial out of the 30 something I've covered in 3 years. Will this be the second clean trial?
Error where you said there was a casing. So looking at State's Exhibit 10A, which should be on the screen now, can you sort of orient us to where the casing was found?
The casing's on the floor behind the child's, looks like a unicorn, on the chair, right behind here.
And if I look at this image, there's a door frame that's right here where I'm illuminating in the corner of the photo. Where does that door go?
That goes to the kitchen.
And in terms of any other access points to leave this living room, where would those be located?
You could go forward, straight ahead to the master bedroom, and the front door is there.
Okay, so if I'm standing like the photo is taken, where would the doors to the master bedroom be?
To your back, behind you,
Okay, and the front entrance of the home would also be to my back and behind me?
correct?
Okay. And the kitchen would be through this doorway here that I have marked to the right.
Correct, to the right.
You had indicated earlier that the shoes you remembered seeing were slippers for kids. Do you see those in this image?
Yes, they're under the pink table.
Show me next State's Exhibit 10B. I think it's a little fuzzy there in the background, but can you identify what this marker, the yellow marker is that I've got illuminated?
Yeah, the ALJ5 marker is next to the kitchen.
Moving a little bit closer on that, State's Exhibit 10C, can you tell us what we're looking at?
That's the fire cartridge casing.
And State's Exhibit 10D.
That's the casing just flipped over to read the head stamp.
What's a head stamp?
The writing on the back of the casing.
What does that tell you?
It usually tells you a brand and caliber.
Were you able to determine the brand or the caliber from this?
It was a 9mm, and I believe it says S&B on the casing.
Is that consistent with other ammunition that was found inside of the house?
Yes.
No, not yet. I apologize. I misspoke. We're gonna do a couple more. At this time, our state would move to strike the ID from State's Exhibits 11A through and including 11O and have them marked as full. No objection.
The identification may be stricken with respect to 11A through 11O inclusive, and they shall be considered as full exhibits.
Now, after the casing was recovered, you had started to indicate about that bullet defect that was in the built-in bookshelf.
Yes,
With respect to that bullet defect, was a bullet eventually recovered?
yes, we recovered a projectile.
So a projectile, not a bullet. I apologize.
It's okay, same thing.
Can you explain the difference?
That's just the technical term for it that we utilize.
I want to go ahead and move into states exhibits 11A and 11B here. Can you describe for us, so 11A, fair to say, is the sofa as it was after Ms. Naffziger, as well as all the blankets and everything else were removed?
Correct, yes.
With respect to states exhibit 11B, can you explain to us what that yellow marker is for?
I'd have to look at my actual evidence report. I'm not sure if that is a swab or if it's a piece of skull or hair. I'd have to refresh my memory with the DSSP plan.
Yeah, these pictures we might not want to see on the evidence screen. But generally, I hope that the media pool will get access to that media screen.
So looking at the report, refresh your recollection.
Yes.
Showing you, Trooper Johnson, what I've marked for identification purposes only at states exhibit number 30. It's 106108 for the record. You can take a look at that item.
Yes.
That's a copy of the report that you just referenced your DSSP.
This isn't the DSSP 20, but it is part of my evidence signature report. It lists,
You can take a look and see if that would refresh your recollection.
yes, it does.
Okay. Based on this, your review of the report, what is that marker for?
That is for swabs of the reddish brown stain on the couch.
If you want to just put that in. Moving next to states exhibit 11C, can you describe to us, and specifically, I want to ask you about this area of the sofa, and I'm not sure now my device is in. One moment. So looking at states exhibit 11C, specifically, I want to draw your attention to that white mark, the damage to the drawer. You described that as a bullet entry.
Yes.
Okay. What else in this image, did you recover anything else from this area of the built-in bookshelf?
To the left of the defect by the knob, there's a clump of hair.
Moving a little bit closer into that 11D, there's a marker ALJ7. Is that referencing the hair that you're describing?
Yes.
Okay. Gonna look a little bit closer. I think that's a little hard to see. So if we can move into states exhibit 11F, like Frank, what are we looking at here?
That's a close-up of the hair around the built-in.
And that hair was recovered.
Yes.
Moving to states exhibit 11G, can you describe for us the changes that we're seeing to sort of the room and what process is happening here?
So like I said before, we conduct searches in layers. So at this particular point in the documentation, we slid the couch out from the built-in, so we had access to be able to see behind the couch.
And once you had access to see behind the couch, what if anything did you do?
We were then able to open the drawers of the built-in.
Now, moving into State's Exhibits 11H and 11I, can you explain to us or describe to us what these white stickers represent?
They're just scale, like L-shaped stickers with scales, that we utilize to mark defects.
And with respect to this defect, it looks like there's an A written on that scale.
Yes, that indicates that's the first defect that I'm noting.
Are there multiple defects associated with this recovered bullet?
Yes,
Projectile?
yes.
Moving to State's Exhibit 11J, what do we see here?
That's just the first drawer. Pulled out a photo of it.
And that's the drawer that the first defect was in.
Correct, defect A.
Was the bullet recovered from this top drawer?
No,
Where was it recovered?
I believe it was the third drawer down.
So were there additional defects that you were able to identify and mark?
Yes.
Looking at State's Exhibit 11K, can you explain to us what we're looking at?
Yes, so that's a photo of inside the drawer. So A1 would be the exit from the front of the drawer, and then 2A is a re-entry of the bullet as its flight path continues.
And then using this next one, State's Exhibit 11L, what is this?
That is another defect. A3.
So A3 is a third bullet defect associated with the same bullet or projectile, right?
Yes.
And where in relation to the first drawer, if you know, is A3?
I'm not actually sure based on this photo, if this is the second, it should be the second drawer. But I'm not positive with just this photo.
The bullet was, or the projectile, I apologize, was recovered in the third drawer down.
As I recall, yes.
Showing you State's Exhibit 11 and what are we seeing here?
That's a photo of the third drawer opened with, what is the projectile in the drawer.
Once this item was photographed, what if anything did you do to recover it?
We packaged it and secured it and transported it to the forensic lab.
And just moving a little bit closer so we can see what that item clearly was, 11N, can you describe for us the projectile?
It's a projectile.
And that's as it was recovered inside of the drawer,
Yes,
marked as ALJ feet.
correct.
Thank you. Trooper Johnson, go ahead and proceed.
Yeah, this is one of these foundational witnesses. They're just there to speak about the fact this is what we found on the crime scene. And this crime scene so far,
It's okay.
this crime scene so far tells me Dustin has some issues with his defense.
Getting a little raspy.
All right. Trooper Johnson, you had indicated that, when you laughed from over here, you had indicated that you had recovered the casing and recovered the projectile, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And can you describe for us the process of that recovery?
We photograph it and collect it and put it in the appropriate evidence receptacle, I guess, based on size and what it is.
And I'm gonna ask you, I provided some gloves in case you can leave them. But I'm gonna ask you to take a look at what I had marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 28. Can you take a look at that item and let you know what it is?
I believe that this belongs to the casing.
Okay, does that have a number on it consistent with the recovered item number?
I'd have to look at my report, but it says ALJ5 on it.
Showing you again what's marked for identification only as State's Exhibit number 30. Would this assist you in identifying what that item is?
Yes. ALJ5 is a casing S&B 9x1921.
that the casing that was recovered from the floor in the first floor apartment next to the sofa?
Yes, it was.
And the one behind the room chair?
Yes.
Okay, I could ask you to go ahead and take a look, open that envelope up for us. Appear to be in the same,
Leasing.
and taking a look at that item, does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as it was in when you recovered it?
Yes.
During this time, state requests that the ID be struck and states as it was when AD committed.
The ID may be stricken with respect to exhibit 28, which can be considered a full exhibit.
Put it back in there.
And to publish it, we'll do that, if we were go.
Mhm.
Gonna go ahead next and show you what I marked for identification purposes as states exhibit 29 for this case. Looking at that, I do recommend what it is.
Yes, this should be the projectile.
I think that match in terms of the documentation on the envelope, your signature on the seal, and the assigned as.
Yes.
I'd ask you to go ahead and look that up. The item that's inside that computer.
Yes, I can.
Okay, in looking at it, is that, what is it?
That's the projectile recovered from the drawer.
Is it the same or substantially the same condition as it was in when it was recovered by you?
Yes.
Around this time, the state would request to strike the item for 29 and have the item admitted as full. No.
The ID may be stricken with respect to exhibit 29 and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
With the court's permission, I would ask Trooper Johnson to step down and allow the jury to observe the items.
Certainly.
So you may have to walk up and down since they're such small items, if you can walk up and down, low to the jurors to see those items.
This is ALJ5. So these symptoms recover. Working about the labels.
And budgets,
Well, they can.
absolutely. You can show them the next item, see it's 29.
ALJ8, which is good for that dialogues. We typically put them in these containers with gauze. After all the close.
Yeah, you lurkers out there, would you please say something in the chat, because my numbers are kind of low and I like them to be higher, and an active chat, thumbs ups and stuff like that will help get me through in the algo. Thank you.
Attorney Kenny? Attorney Kenny? Okay. Approach.
Incident that occurred in February 2024, you were not there for the incident.
No,
You did not see what happened.
correct,
You didn't see what Caitlyn was doing, right?
correct,
You didn't see what a child was doing, right?
correct,
You didn't see what the defendant Dustin was doing.
correct,
You didn't hear what Caitlyn said, right?
correct,
You didn't hear what Dustin said, correct?
yes,
You don't have any idea what actually happened that night.
correct.
No one was.
You read right?
Good question.
Okay. And Trooper Johnson excused?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And please.
And we have a sidebar. This will be sidebar counter 8. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Dave says the defense is going to ask every witness whether or not they saw with what the victim was doing and with the defendant was doing. It's a good once in a while, but you can't ask every witness. No, then it just becomes it's a bit apparent that, yeah, of course.
Hey, members of the jury, we're going to conclude there for the day.
Oh.
I know that some days we may go all the way till 4 o'clock, but we are going to conclude there for today. I just conferred with counsel. We'll be ready to start at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. As I've said all along, please do not discuss any aspect of the case or the evidence with your fellow jurors, including if you see any jurors discussing the case. I would ask that you please report that to a court security officer or bailiff. I want to state that I recognize that some of the photos may be difficult to look at. I encourage you, regardless of that, again, do not discuss any aspect of the evidence or any part of the case with any of the fellow jurors during any of the breaks or even during the process of the trial itself. Again, as I said, there is some media coverage with respect to this matter. I encourage you to I instruct you to not only avoid such media coverage, but to try to do everything you can to avoid even inadvertent exposure to that. And again, please conduct no research whatsoever yourself about any matter that you hear about in this case or any of the witnesses or any of the evidence. Please conduct no research whatsoever. And again, I'm sure you will follow my instructions to make sure that this is a fair and a trial that consists with the law on such matters. Okay, so we'll start at 9 o'clock. That's it for the day. Thank you very much. By the way, that wasn't an air exchange. I do think that was some much needed rain that we heard on the rooftop. So anyway, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your service. We'll reconvene at 9 o'clock tomorrow. All rise for the jury.
All right.
Okay. Two things here. They are apparently leaving early. Second of all, this judge say he doesn't go more than to 4 p.m. That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, I don't know. Let's just check if there is something else going on after.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated. And council, about 10-minute break and we can reconvene to discuss some matters.
Oh, they are
that okay?
doing. Yeah.
Okay, all right. What will be in recess?
Okay. Let's skip to when they reconvene because they are doing something outside the presence of the jury here.
Okay. Back on the record, 214-2024 CR 28. Just a few housekeeping matters. State's filed a motion to reconsider. Can I expect an objection from defense?
Judge, we're prepared to argue it now. It doesn't state any issues of fact or law that the court overlooked. It simply reiterates and reinterprets the transcript differently from how the court interprets it. I don't think that's a basis for the court to reconsider its decision. I think that the case originally cited by the state, Commonwealth versus Castano, talks about that evidence can be admissible if there can be inferences made that the evidence was somehow known to the defendant in some capacity. And in Castano, the inferences include the defendant being aware of the victim's desire to end the relationship because she obtained a roomie release form from the landlord. So completely separate from the defendant, and because there was a suitcase on the floor. And here, as the court's noted, there's numerous references to Mr. Duren asking, what is the plan? What is the plan? What's going on? To Ms. Naffziger telling him some portion of the plan. I'm going to take the kids, take them back to Minnesota without his permission. And so I think that there's far more than enough evidence for the court to find that it's admissible for that purpose. And the court has made that finding. The state is not saying anything new. It simply interprets the evidence differently. A different interpretation of the evidence is not grounds to consider. I think, as the court referenced earlier during the objection during opening, the other purpose for which this is admissible is 8033 as Ms. Naffziger's plan. And what is relevant is what both people in that apartment were doing, saying, how they were behaving. That is relevant to whether or not Mr. Duren reasonably believed that under the circumstances outlined in the Defense of Others statute was present. And so under both of those bases, the evidence is admissible. The court's ruling should stand. I'll also note that I think it would be very unfairly prejudicial to the defense where the court should reconsider its motion now, or its order now after we've already delivered an opening in reliance on the court's ruling. State had the opportunity to ask to speak to the court before the jury was called, and they did not do that. So I think all is favorable, required that the evidence be admissible. It's admissible under two separate theories. The state has not produced any areas of fact or law that the court's been apprehended. It's interpreting evidence differently, and ultimately it'll be up to the jury to decide how to interpret the evidence. So the court should deny the state's pleasure to reconsider.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, we're asking the court obviously to reconsider the court's ruling. We do believe that the court respectfully has misapprehended an issue of fact in the sense that it's misinterpreted the relevant portions of the transcript. The court referenced in its order pages 50 to 57, and what the state attempted to do in its pleading was to go through those pages as closely as possible. And I submit that if the court does that again, the court will see that although there are several references to a plan or planning or questions along the lines of what's the plan, all of those in context very clearly refer to the defendant questioning Ms. Naffziger about when she was going to leave. What's the plan? When are you leaving? When is Brenda going to pick you up? This is not what we planned for. Those are the types of statements that he is making, and that is the context of any references to a plan. It is certainly true that according to the defendant and statements that he made, he told police he learned from Caitlyn that night that she said something along the lines of, I'm going to call the police and have the kids taken away from me. We are not disputing that, but that is a completely separate plan, so to speak, than the plan involving the two witnesses that are the subject of this motion. If we look at the plan involving those two witnesses, I believe it's uncontested, and Mr. London will testify that that plan was a secret. The entire object of that plan was to conceal it from the defendant, because if they didn't, it wouldn't work. The plan was to assist Ms. Naffziger in stealing away with children sometime in the early morning hours while the defendant was asleep. There is no reason that anyone involved in that plan, if they wanted to succeed, would tell the defendant about that plan. Certainly not Ms. Plumondon or Ms. Naffziger. Ms. Plumondon's testimony, I think we all agree, will establish she never spoke with the defendant. And as we heard in the opening statement today from defense, I don't believe they're contesting that either, because according to the opening, by the time the defendant got outside and saw Caitlyn there with her bags, Ms. Plumondon was already gone. So there's literally no opportunity for them to speak. In the defendant's statement, he said he didn't have Brenda's number. He wanted to call her to facilitate Caitlyn leaving, but he could not because he didn't have the contact information. So I think we can all agree there was no means of communication. The evidence would show that there was no communication between Ms. Plumondon and Ms. Spurgeon and the defendant. So the plan did not get communicated to him that way. It seems that the theory the defense is operating under is that to make this defense relevant, the defendant had some inkling. He knew that there was a plan. There was a plan that he said, or he thought, well, I don't know the specifics, but something is up. And that is not relevant for justification defense. The defendant, if he is going to successfully pursue that and successfully argue it, at least to the level of obtaining a jury instruction by the sum modicum standard, has to present some evidence that he reasonably believed that a kidnapping was taking place or about to take place. Ms. Naffziger was conducting a kidnapping or about to. The knowledge that there is a kidnapping implied is inherent there, and it's necessary. If the defendant merely thought she's up to something and don't know what it is, that is not enough.
No, he's just not thinking that, he's saying that.
He is saying, what's the plan? When are you leaving? When is Brenda coming to get you? I don't believe there's any indication in the transcript or anywhere else that he's saying, are you doing something? What's your plan with Brenda? I think that is a completely different context that's just not present. So that kidnapping has to be there. He has to know specifically that there is a plan to kidnap these people. And all the references to some suspicion or some plan, there is no reference to Ms. Plumondon, and that kind of gets to the crux of it. The plan involves her. She's a key part of the plan. She's going to come up to Berlin and aid Ms. Naffziger. She is the only lifeline, the only transportation. He doesn't mention her at all. And in fact, in his statement, he says, I was trying to call her. I wanted to call her, but I couldn't. And I think had Ms. Naffziger told him about this plan, or if he had learned of it from her in that way, why would he call that person? There makes no sense that he would do that. So I think, you know, the crux of our motion is that a reading of that transcript of all the evidence and taking into account everything that we know, we expect to be evidence here in the trial, will establish that the defendant did not know about that plan, and therefore it cannot be relevant for his state of mind. I know counsel is arguing that it is relevant for Ms. Naffziger's state of mind. We've covered that, so I won't belabor the point, but when we were talking about justification defense, we were talking about what the defendant knew and what was in his head, and does it explain or justify what he did. If he didn't know about the plan, then logically, that he cannot have acted because of the plan. He cannot have killed Caitlyn because he thought she was going to kidnap his children as part of a plan with Ms. Plumondon. He may have certainly done so, and I think the evidence would support an inference or a conclusion that Mr. Duren killed Ms. Naffziger because she thought she was going to take the children away because that's what she told him. But that was by calling the police and taking a very different route. That is overt. That is, through some sort of legal process where she's saying, I'm going to call the police, have you arrested, say something that will result in children being taken away. That is a completely different track. That does not put into his head anything about Ms. Plumondon, or certainly anything that would should enable him to now argue, oh, I killed her because I thought she was going to kidnap my kids, specifically through this plan with taking kids away early in the morning. There has to be some indicator that he did that, and we just think it's not there, and that's why we filed the motion, Your Honor. So we respectfully submit that a reading of that transcript, while it certainly contains references to plans and planning, contains no references to the plan that issued here, and that's the one that matters.
I kind of agree with the state here. I mean, the defense can still use Dustin's notion, his suspicion, because of reasons he believes in. But they can't really, in my opinion, reference what he doesn't know, as in his ex and his aunt making plans, because he didn't know about it. So, yeah, this will be interesting to hear what the judge will do.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Anything further?
Like both of the case cited by the state in its motion, both there needs not be direct evidence that the defendant learned of the victim's state of mind, so long as the jury reasonably could have inferred that Christian had not committed. Jury is not required to make this inference, but the fact that they permissively could have means that it's permissible as within the statements. The court should not disturb its ruling. There are clearly reasonable minds can interpret this transcript in multiple different ways. And that in and of itself is enough to allow it to go to the jury, so the jury, as the finders of fact, can interpret it how they will. I think other than that, covered in our objection, our prior hearings on this issue.
I want to make sure to give counsel the opportunity to make any additional arguments on it with respect to the motion to reconsider. So I will, I also understand the practical objections raised by defendant counsel relative to considering the motion at this point in the proceeding. I will give you a specific ruling on the motion to reconsider tomorrow if you're ready with that objection. You're satisfied with the objection, correct?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, you're satisfied with the argument on that motion.
Yes.
Okay, no, I'll return to issue the order. I'm going to read that pages 50 to 57 of the transcript. I'll read it for the 101st time tonight. I'll reread it again for the 101st time, and I will issue an order that's likely going to be consistent with my prior order. Just to be clear, but I'll put a little bit more on the record for purposes of any issues that need to be covered. Anything further on that? Okay, next, do we have an agenda for tomorrow? If we need to approach, we can do that, but the jury was attentive today. I know we've asked them to set aside a couple weeks out of their lives and out of their work. And I'm certainly okay with the fact that we ended early today, but I want to make sure that we're filling the day as much as possible because we're asking them to set aside time out of their life. So I just want to make sure we have a nice full day tomorrow, if that's possible.
So, Your Honor, we do anticipate that we will have a full day tomorrow. That will lead us potentially to an issue depending on how quickly we move. The medical examiner in this case is not available until the 23rd, which is Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning. He is, I'm not sure he's at a training or I don't know, he's out of state. He's returning at 5 o'clock, I believe on the 22nd. He has agreed to be immediately getting back into his car and driving up here to be available for the 23rd at 9 a.m. Which is also immediately prior to testimony he has to do via WebEx for another case. So no matter where we are in terms of tomorrow, the state will be running into, we anticipate a scheduling issue. So we wanted to flag that for the court's attention.
Certainly. And that's, thank you. Number one, thank you. Number two, as I said, I have no issue with the fact that we ended early today, but I want to make sure we have a nice full day tomorrow so that the jury understands that why we're asking them to take this much time out of their life. So it sounds like we've got a full day tomorrow. Roughly. Okay.
Okay, so the state's case will last at least until Thursday. So yeah, since this is outside of the jury, I don't count this as a sidebar. Skipping ahead. But yeah, scheduling wise, for the judge to say 9 to 4. So office hours, which means for my schedule, that is 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. my time. But I do believe I will still do the two-parter, because I don't know each day if I will be home at 3 p.m. or anything other that might show up during the day. But as of tomorrow, I hope to start at 3 p.m. and go up until lunch. And then we will see. Let's see here if they have anything else.
Items that you inquired about. I'll get rulings to you on those quickly, and to the defense, obviously.
Nick doesn't sleep. Well, I do sleep.
And
I sleep
Attorney
twice
General,
a day.
with respect to the motion you filed about the status of Mr. Duren, is that being worked on?
As far as we know, Your Honor, it should be settled, but we'll report back tomorrow morning if it's not.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so look forward to a full day tomorrow. Anything further, counsel, from the state?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Okay, Attorney Kettles or Kenny?
Nothing.
Okay, all right, thank you. That concludes. See you tomorrow.
All right. That was day one. That was day one. Celestial, you're up late, Nick. Nick doesn't sleep. I do sleep. I sleep twice a day, roughly 3.5 hours per at a time. I've done that since I was a kid, to my parents' big annoyance. So yeah, so it might appear as I am up 24/7, but I am actually not. Okay. I saw the question here from Fun Size. Do you think he's guilty already? I think it's looking bad for him, but I want to hear more from the state and from the defense before I make my final judgment, my personal. But it does not look good for him. It really doesn't. All right, folks. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. And for me and Mr. Jingles, hello. Hello. You all have a good one, and I will see you back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring friends. Bring friends. All right. Thank you so much, and have a good one. See you. Bye-bye.
Sail the raven waves, brothers, axes high, shields strong. From distant lands we gather.
By the way.